And the salute to the flag. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Councilmember Ariano.
Here.
Councilmember Nasrati.
Here.
Councilmember Larson.
Here.
Councilmember Esquer.
Yes.
Mayor Bublak.
Here, okay. All of us are present again. Declaration of conflicts of interest, looking and hearing none. We will move to the closed session. We'll continue after this, so we'll move on from that. The approval of the agenda is posted or amended, just so that anyone here who might be here for specifically Cal State Ventures 2, the applicant has asked that we pull this final reading from the agenda, so we'll open it for you if you came here to talk, but we won't have a dialogue or a vote on that specific one. So, recognitions. I'm sorry, first I need to make sure that we approve the agenda as posted or amended.
Second.
Motion and a second.
Approving the amended agenda, Councilmember Ariano.
Yes.
Councilmember Nasrati.
Yes.
Councilmember Larson.
Yes.
Councilmember Esquer.
Yes.
Mayor Bublak.
Yes, passes. Before we begin our proclamations and such, Chief, I was hoping that you could just come up and give us a quick briefing about what happened today and how safe we are, and you probably want this side over here.
Good job, I Turlock PD.
Yeah.
Thank you. Test, there we go. Yes, Mayor, council members, thank you. As most of you know, today at approximately 12:31 hours, our school resource officer, who's assigned to Turlock High School, came up on the police radio and advised of an active shooter, unknown location, which created an immediate response from every able-bodied police officer in the police department, which includes, you might not consider me a police officer, but I am one of the responders. So everyone went. 12:34 is the first officers on scene. I had the back half of the school, and I got to tell you, the call itself makes your heart drop. Would make anybody's heart drop. But arriving on scene within a minute and seeing all the kids, it was during lunchtime, 12:31. Several kids running across the street with their backpacks just fleeing, and at the same time we're getting out of the car, we're asking where's the shooter, where's it happening. It's pretty chaotic. We were able to immediately enter the school and immediately looked for the shooter in order to neutralize the threat. Didn't hear any shots or anything like that, but we treated it as we normally would. So we had a full response from our police officers, our detectives, our two traffic officers, a traffic sergeant. Series sent their armored vehicle. Sheriff's Department sent us 4 officers. So we were able to secure the site, secure Turlock High School, secure Julian School, and secure Sacred Heart School with a multitude of help. The search revealed nothing. There was no active shooter. The investigation at this time shows that it was a hoax. The school has their own walkie-talkies, and apparently an individual was able to get a walkie-talkie and just yell over the radio that there was a shooter. That's terrible in and of itself, but what is very good is the response that we were able to put together even with limited services. I will tell you that this type of incident overwhelmed our dispatch center. As most of you know, we've taken them down by 3 bodies and trying to fill that center, only having 2. We were lucky because we're running our new CAD report management system training. So we had a CSUS lieutenant and a CSUS dispatcher, along with another one of our dispatchers and our property clerk who used to be a dispatcher in training. So they all jumped out of the classroom and ran into dispatch and were able to assist. Our secretarial staff, who's also been trained in this type of incidences, ran to our new phone lines that we had in place in our emergency operations center, and we were able to activate those. So we had an abundance of assistance on the support side, but again, we were lucky. The turnout was extremely positive. No one was injured. The kids were nervous. I got to tell you, I poked my head into the cafeteria where one of the areas were locked down. About 150 kids in there, and they were nervous and scared. I tried to put them at ease, and I told them, hey, guess what? You guys are the only ones that have food for a long-term stay, and they started laughing. So that was good. But it did end very well. No one was hurt. So with that, I'm available for any questions that you have.
Questions? Just want to thank you guys. It was pretty amazing. Everyone that I heard said it just went rather smoothly for such a heightened call to go out, so appreciate you.
I will tell you that the school district has excellent plans in place for these type of incidences. We review them with them every year. The superintendent sends me their the emergency response and lockdown response, and every one of my command staff review it. We ensure that every school site is the same, because when a critical incident happens, you react to the training that you've received. And 1,700 kids at Turlock High School during lunch locked down within a couple of minutes. So that's pretty amazing. Good job to the school districts. Is it 2,500 again? It's been a while. Last time I was there were 3,000 before Pittman opened up.
Find
So
out who put in the call for a gunner?
who did what?
Who called it?
We're investigating that. We don't know yet, but somebody will probably come forward. So I think a few of the high school kids were not happy having to be locked up in a warm classroom for an hour. Some of them-
I just want to, as a mom, I mean, to see that come over the text message, and I have kids in every school. So, your mind just goes south real quick. So I appreciate your quick response, and, and the fire department, I assume, was there as
Oh, yeah.
well. And we thank you for all your public safety responders and, your fast acting, because it does happen really quick. And, every single one of those lives is precious. So.
No, and I agree with you. Every single one is, and we try to get information out as quickly as possible on social media to relieve the parents, because I guarantee you the kids are getting it out. And the fire department, I believe 2 engines, Chief, 4 engines.
Whoa.
We staged 4 engines, AMR staged 2 ambulances. Yeah, I mean, our responses are prepared for the worst-case scenario. We don't know what we're going to run into. And just so this council knows, the fire department and police department are working together to have a quick rescue team. Fire personnel will be trying to do some training where we can find funds to do it. But part of that training is not only for the police department to initiate immediate response to neutralize the threat, but a secondary search and rescue team, and then a third quick response team, and fire personnel who are willing to participate in that, along with paramedics. We outfit them with armor and so forth, and they're part of the team, so we can start giving first aid and medical services if that circumstance is warranted. So there's a lot of planning in stages, and we plan for the worst and hope for the best. So, sure.
What type of charges, if any, would there be?
Ma'am, I'm sorry. If we're-
Just so we can catch you, can you come up to the lectern real quick? Because it's going to be valuable for the other people that are watching to hear you.
Yeah, otherwise people at home can't hear what's going on.
Your voice is pretty good, though.
Thank you. I was a police officer back in the day, so. What type of charges, if any, would be for the individual that caused the alarm?
Well, it's a false report of a criminal, it's a false report of an emergency. So if we can find out who it is and find sufficient information to send him to the courts, he can get up to a misdemeanor, 6 months. Or, I don't know it in front of me, but I think it's like, $1,500 fine.
Oh,
It's not severe.
maybe not.
If somebody was hurt, it'd be a different story.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, yes, real quick.
I just wanted to say that for the community and it being in my district and less than a mile away from where I live and where I grew up, Julian, Dutcher, and Turlock High School, we felt today the first small fraction of a absolutely disastrous event that our city has seen, one of the most disastrous events our city has seen in its recent history. And to have those concerns and fear and anxiety be answered to be quenched with a false alarm, and to have our public safety departments and different jurisdictions attend to it so quickly and so professionally, it was amazing to see. It was so comforting. And I also wanted to take away from it the amount of outreach our community had from our police department on social media, and seeing how immediate our community members were able to obtain information. It's a great learning tool for us to see the importance of how we can communicate as fast as possible. Commend Turlock Journal being out there, interviewing the necessary personnel, and allowing those parents who and community members that feared the worst understand that our public safety departments, our community leaders, and various public safety departments were out there attending immediately. It's fantastic, and Chief, congratulations, or not congratulations, God, but thank you so much for that and for your department, and just absolute kudos and fantastic feedback from us up here. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, Chief. All right, let's get to the employee recognition. So who's going to watch the monitor while George comes up here? All right, Joe, you got it? Let's go, George.
He's gonna switch it to HD for the first time.
Kind of light.
He's just, yeah.
It's like graphics. It's awesome. Snapchat.
George Yonan, everybody. Yeah. So we all know that we're ready to go when George, y'all, you can't even see him. You just see above the screen a thumbs up, right? So that's when somebody said, well, who got Employee of the Month? I'm like, George. And they're like, oh, okay, I'll give George. So George Yonan is started as a part-time trainee in 2012, and he became a full-time technician for the city on March 1st, 2016. George attended Cal State Stanislaus, working towards completion of a bachelor's degree. George is a valued member of the Information Technology Division, IT. George was nominated for his outgoing, positive attitude and wonderful sense of humor, along with his willingness to help end users with all things IT. His radiant positivity and his friendly personality bring a smile to everyone's face who encounters him. When we informed George of his honor, he exclaimed, "That's legit." Personal. On August 8th, 2019, at midnight in Paris, under the sparkling Eiffel Tower, George proposed to his beautiful girlfriend, and she said yes. And so now he has a husky puppy to add to his family, and are planning the wedding for next May. Working at the city is a family affair for the Yonan family. Jana, George's mom, works at the police department as a full-time records clerk, and George's aunt, Jacqueline, works in finance as a part-time accountant clerk. Congratulations to George and Ibra on their engagement. Please help me in thanking George for all the work he's done. So, George, I want you to have your family come up, and then I want you to say something. But you gotta have your family up here.
Okay. Mom, Dad, fiance. George isn't shy. Just a little bit. That's legit. It's legit. So thank you, Honorable Mayor, Council, for this awesome reward and recognition, honestly. Truly honored. I'd like to, if you guys don't know me yet, I'm the good-looking guy that sits back there in the corner, and I record all the council meetings, well, most of them. Most of them. I'd like to start off by thanking those who nominated me, and for me ending up and receiving this legit award, you know. So it is a pretty common word that I use all the time, you know. It's starting to wear off on my other coworkers, and I don't think they like it as much, but, you know, what can we do? I'd like to thank my fellow IT colleagues. Without them, honestly, I would not be standing up here, because I can't say that I do everything that I do by myself every day. And I'd like to thank my boss, Joe. I'd like to thank Luis, Carlo, they're both back there in the corner. You see them right there, right there. And then I'd like to thank my other coworkers, Sam, Eddie, Danette, she's over there. Where is she? She's over there. Hi, Danette. And then, and myself as well, you know, because I work really hard every day. And then, but also to my other coworkers, you know, here at the city, they truly make every day a pleasure to be here. And I want to thank them as well. So I also want to thank, I'm going to be thanking a lot of people, because I'm assuming that's what we do. And I'd like to thank my family, my friends, and my fiance.
And honestly, they've helped me a lot for being out here tonight and always being in my corner, and especially my mom, my sister, and my dad for always telling me that I can do anything I can. Like anything I want, they said I could do it. Right, Dad?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So, so I'd like to thank them for being here. And then, lastly, I want to thank all my fans out there, my subscribers. We do have a YouTube channel here at the city of Turlock, and all 36 of them, they tune in and watch every council meeting. So I'd like to thank them, and I don't want those people to go unnoticed. But thank you again. I go down now?
Back to your corner, George. Okay, hello. Is this on? Yes, hello. We're going to do a little tag team tonight, so it's going to be my pleasure to offer this proclamation. Mr. Don Ow, come on up.
And wife.
That's your mom. Well, good.
All right.
She trained you, right?
Yep.
Don, congratulations. Thank you. Virginia, right? Virginia. All right. Okay, it's my pleasure to read this proclamation in recognition of National Market, September 10th, 2019. Whereas in 1951, father and son, Ju Ao and Jing Ao, opened National Market, and whereas throughout the nearly 70 years in business, 3 generations of Ao family have locally owned and operated National Market. And whereas over the last 10 years, mother and son Virginia Ao and Don Ao have operated the market together. And whereas National Market became well-known in the Turlock community as a neighborhood market providing fresh quality meats and personalized service with a hometown feel, and I'm going to stress that, best meats in town, folks. Yeah. Whereas many of the market's customer frequented the store for the old-fashioned meat counter stocked with premium cuts and special-made orders, and whereas market owners pride themselves for fulfilling their American dream while at the same time giving back to the Turlock community. And whereas August 10th, 2019 marked the last day of business for National Market and the start of the next chapter for the Ao family. Now therefore, the Turlock City Council, by virtue of authority vested in us as, on all of us, on behalf of the entire city and our citizens, do hereby congratulate the Ao family for their nearly 70 years of business in the Turlock community, express gratitude for their service and contributions, and wish the family well in the next chapter.
Mayor, City Council, we appreciate everything that don't do this. Is a great honor. 68 years is a long time being in business, but it went by really quick. At least my part. I only had to do 40 years. But no, we appreciate it. All the support from the Turlock community. I'm born and raised, never moved from Turlock, and I'll continue staying here. So we just appreciate it, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
I have some special guests.
You want to bring
Debbie.
Sure. Yeah. My wife Debbie, my sister Debbie, my daughter Caitlin, and our grandson.
And our grandbaby.
Come on up, guys.
He's going to be the new owner.
They're shy.
Go ahead and come forward, please. Come forward.
Yeah.
too young to start the business?
Yeah, a little few. A couple more years. Maybe 4 or 5 years.
That's awesome.
We didn't have to work till we were 7 or 8.
Okay. Well, that's awesome.
Okay.
Thank you guys so much for your business.
Thank
That's
you.
really awesome. All right. Now we're working on National Suicide Prevention. Who's coming here for this? Lori. Mary. Susan. All right. You don't seem like you want to come up here. Come on, Susan. Okay, so this is in recognition of the National Suicide Prevention Awareness Month, September 2019, and World Mental Health Day, which will be October 10th. Whereas the City of Turlock has recognized healthy community as a priority, whereas 1 in 5 adults experience mental illness in a given year, and 1 in 25 adults experience a serious mental illness in a given year. And whereas an estimated 46% of homeless in the United States live with a serious mental illness, and whereas only 41% of adults with mental health concerns receive medical treatment, and whereas suicide is the second leading cause of death in people ages 10 to 24, the 4th cause of death in people ages 35 to 54, and the 10th overall leading cause of death in the United States. Therefore, I, Amy Bublak, by virtue of the authority invested in me as mayor, and on behalf of the entire city council and our citizens, do hereby proclaim September 2019 as National Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. Would you like to say something?
Thank you. So on behalf of the Young Ladies Institute of All Saints University Parish here in Turlock, I would like to thank the mayor and the city council for this proclamation. This is mental health and suicide prevention awareness are a very important topic in our society today. We have an obligation as a society to care for our people and to have places where they can go to reach out for help when they so desperately need it. I do commend the Turlock School District for the steps that they took this year in putting the suicide hotline and text number on the back of their student IDs. It is one small step that could save even just one life. And as you heard earlier, every single life is precious, and that is very true. I know homelessness is a concern in the city of Turlock, and you heard the statistic. So many of them need medical attention, and they're not receiving it. So again, I thank you all for your support of this very important issue. Thank you.
All right, and now we have one certificate here for Helping Hands. Liz, you coming up? Yeah, sure, bring them up. Let's do it.
Helping Hands.
Come all stand up back here.
Gloria. Tito.
Barking orders. All right, well, you're coming up. I'm going to read this certificate. Helping Hands Street Team, in recognition of your 50 days of outstanding achievement in community service, the Helping Hands Streets Team program is recognized for empowering individuals, developing partnerships, and creating opportunities for a stronger community. These efforts not only help to restore the Turlock community, but also to help restore lives. On behalf of the entire City Council and all of our citizens, may we extend sincere recognition on your achievements, the time and effort put forth in helping to beautify our community and contributing to a better quality of life for all is greatly appreciated. Before, I just want you to know that some of us have individually even come out and helped, and this was an organic thing that happened, and there's some people who have helped and not help on a regular basis, but there's so many people in the community that are supporting having somebody else take over and help. The city, we don't necessarily need to be taking the lead on all these things, and so we have people who are standing up saying we'll do it. So we're thanking all of you guys for doing something to help beautify our community and to show us that you're a part of our community, right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to say
First of all, let's say thank you, Mayor, and they were so excited all to be here. And it's not about me, it's about every one of them, the hard work that they do, and they go out there and they love it. They love to make the community beautiful. You know, even they'll see something and they'll go around, oh, we gotta go fix this part, you know. And it's about getting them jobs and getting them places to live. And I just ask everybody, if you see one of them out there and you do have businesses, let them use the restroom. Because, you know, sometimes we're running around and it's hard to go anywhere and they have to use the restroom. But I just want to say thank you to everybody and thank you, Mayor. Of course. Thank you for letting us do this. Thank you, guys. All right. Oh, yeah, Gloria's our other leader, the right hand.
Mr. White, briefing?
Let me start off, Mayor Bublak, members of the council. At your last meeting, you had a request from a group to display a rainbow flag from the city's flagpoles as part of our existing commitment to diversity and inclusion, and as a follow-up to your anti-hate or inclusionary policy you adopted, a resolution you passed in 2017. The city does, however, have a policy on flying flags from flagpoles, and I'll read an excerpt for you. It says, "The city's flagpoles are not intended to serve as a forum for free expression by the public. The city's flagpoles are to be used exclusively by the city, where the city council may display a commemorative flag as a form of government expression. The city council will not display a commemorative flag based on a request from a third party, nor will the city use its flagpoles to sponsor the expression of a third party." And the second part says, "It's not the practice of the city to accept third-party requests to display the flag," or any flag, sorry. And it talks about other opportunities in the city for commemorative displays. And so given that existing policy, it would probably need a change to accommodate the request, and I'll hand over to the city attorney on that.
So just to provide everybody in the public a little background about how our council meetings are set up, from the time that the request was originally came in, we'd only have a week to get it prepared for the next city council meeting. Given the fact that we'd have to have both a policy change and have to do the research to make sure that we could do it right and didn't open it up to hate groups or anything else like that, we decided, and I talked to Councilmember Nasrati, saying that we would unlikely be able to make it for this meeting, but it is our intention to immediately within the next month or so bring something back for consideration. It was just because of the really tight time frame to go and change a city policy that we weren't able to present anything. So I don't want anyone to take anything from this that was unintended. It was just because we only had a week to essentially prepare on something that's a little bit complicated from a First Amendment issue if you haven't researched it and looked at it previously. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that the council may have.
Just to say a quick comment as well. Is it appropriate for me to say comment, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it is my intention to basically revisit the code that we have in there. I think that what I would ideally want to see is as much ownership and sense of belonging for every single person that exists within our community. I think the flagpoles out there should ideally, every week we're seeing a different flag up there representing some of the most important members of our community, and I want to work towards creating a flag program similar to our banner program, where all of you that feel that you want to do work on something getting represented in here, we'll create an avenue and a platform and opportunity for you to do so. It's just unfortunate sometimes we can't do everything right away, but I'm very hopeful that we'll be able to revisit that in the near future.
Mayor, could I add one other thing? I forgot to mention that one of the reasons for our purposes this was a little extra complicated is we'd had requests from the Assyrian community that we've turned down in the past, and so we had to look at how we'd handled those situations. So anyways, that adds on to it.
Actually think Portuguese as well at one point. All right, so I'm going to open it to the public for just this specific topic. There are a ton for another, or for public participation. So I'm going to read from the list. Dan? Ariola? And I probably said it wrong. And again, just 3 minutes, sorry. It's not public participation.
And we did get the council members' email today.
Good evening, council. My name's Dan Ariola. I'm a council member from the Excuse me?
I said it right.
You did, Ariola. Ariola, council member from City of Tracy. I also happen to be an attorney. I'm a criminal prosecutor in San Joaquin County, but my prior experience was in civil rights law. And so I don't make it an easy thing to come to another council's meeting and trying to sway your policy, but members of your community actually approach and ask that I speak, so I'll keep it very brief. Essentially, I reviewed your policy, and it seems there's such an easy change to make sure that we have a program, and thank you, Councilmember Nosrati, for bringing that to our attention. But it's going to be quite an easy fix to fix this so that other groups, such as the Syrian flag, the Portuguese flag, would have an opportunity to be flown at the council's discretion as a form of government expression. With that being said, I think it's so important that we really take into consideration the fact that the LGBT community in your city really felt the need to be heard on this particular matter. And the reason why is because we, as elected officials, we choose that life. We choose to go into public office. But unfortunately, we don't get to choose when events happen in our community with which we have an opportunity to respond. And unfortunately, this community and the entire Stanislaus community was faced with an issue where a national organization came into Stanislaus County and enacted a rally of hate, is what it was. And I was there on the ground with members of your community, and we were so successful in having a peaceful protest. And what's so important to recognize is that what LGBT people are not asking for, they're not asking for more rights. They're not asking for different rights. The LGBT community is merely asking for equitable rights. They're asking for equality. And while that conversation is going to be had at the national level, each of us as local policymakers has the opportunity to recognize and hear the needs of our community members. And that's what they're asking for in the form of government expression. And so I would really urge you to look inside yourselves, and even if you disagree with it, while I would disagree with you, I would respectfully understand your opinion. But we as elected officials have the responsibility to have these courageous conversations. So we would ask, after we resolve the ambiguity in your policy, to bring it back, have the discussion, and even if you disagree with it, stand on your convictions and have that done publicly, have that open, courageous conversation, because that's what all of us are here to do, to serve our community. And with that, I will turn it over to your constituents, but thank you so much for hearing us out today.
Thank you. Welcome to Turlock. Michelle? Sorry, they're clapping so loud you couldn't hear me.
Okay, if it would be okay, I would like to share my time with Carla, and we would like to have 6 minutes. We will not use all 6 minutes of that time. We're both going to speak. Thank you, Council. I was one of the 3 citizens that requested the raising of the pride flag be put on this agenda tonight so that it could be voted on and raised by this weekend, which is Stanislaus County Pride. I'm just going to hold it. Making this item a non-actionable one, by making this item a non-actionable one, the city has, in essence, taken action. I've been in contact with Andrew and Michael and Doug via email since our request was made 2 weeks ago. What they kept telling me is that there isn't enough time to do the research needed to put this on the agenda. From what I know, that is not true. The City of Dublin and the City of Tracy both have similar, if not exact same, had municipal code, and they were able to amend their code and vote to raise the flag in one single city council meeting. Here's the thing, context matters. We asked you do this now because the recent Straight Pride event, August 24th, coupled with Pride Day this weekend, but because you didn't take immediate action, the flag will not be raised. The council could have amended the municipal code tonight and voted to raise the pride flag as a form of government speech. This council already signed the anti-hate resolution, which is government speech. The raising of the flag would be a natural extension and a visual symbol of this resolution.
In the matter of supporting the resolution, not in our community, opposing any acts of discrimination, this is the resolution. Whereas bullying, harassment, and hate crimes have increased in cities, communities across America, And whereas the County of Stanislaus and the City of Turlock welcome and value diverse racial, ethnic, religious, and national backgrounds, and further recognize that our diversity is critical to the economic, cultural, and social well-being of our community. And whereas history has tragically taught us what happens when people stand silently by and allow acts of intolerance, hatred, and violence to occur. And whereas people often feel isolated, without hope, and helpless to do anything individually to help end crime, hate crime. And whereas people in communities across our nation have stood up successfully and opposed any acts of discrimination committed against their neighbors. Now therefore be it resolved that the City of Turlock, the City Council of the City of Turlock, and its elected representatives stand up against bigotry, hate-based groups, hate-based crime of all kinds within our organization and throughout the community, and declares that no one shall be discriminated against because of race, faith, ethnicity, national origin, legal status, gender, age, disability, sexual orientation, or any other real or perceived difference. Be it further resolved, the City of Turlock stands together with all people of good faith across the nation in an effort to push back the rising tide of bullying, harassment, racism, and hate crimes, to proclaim, not in our city, not in our country, not in our community, not in Turlock. Thank you.
Okay, so what a wonderful way to have supported this community by affirming that resolution and raising the flag as a symbol of what is written in that resolution. It says, "You will stand up against hate-based groups and push back against the rising tide of bullying, harassment, and hate crimes." Are you standing up tonight and over the last 2 weeks when you had a chance to research this item and learn from neighboring municipalities? It does not feel like that to me. Mr. White politely asked me in one email if I could give the city more time for issues like these in the future, but you see, I don't get to call the shots on this one. None of us in the LGBTQ community did. I didn't ask the straight pride organizers to come to our region and threaten violence against me and this community. And while I am thankful that the city will be looking at this in the future, I am saddened that only Andrew called me after my statement. I am disheartened that none of the rest of you called me to ask if there was anything I knew that could help speed the process, or if you could work with me to accomplish this important symbolic gesture. Although I will give Michael some credit for having to step right into his position, attend the Joint Task Force on Diversity and Inclusion meeting, and begin to discuss the municipal code with me right away. Thank you. You see, this kind of reminds me of being a parent. If my kid came home from school and said they'd been targeted by bullies or someone was threatening violence against them, I'd drop everything, and I'd do what I could to protect them and support them. If they could articulate, as we did 2 weeks ago, "Here's a simple gesture that you could do, Mom, to make me feel safer," I would do it. But now the city will not raise the flag during Pride weekend, and that silence is louder than any words you can speak tonight. That's all.
Carla Seawright, is that you? Okay, there's two Carlas on here. Corey?
And of course, I get a call right as this is happening. Okay. Hi, my name is Corey Plutz, and I want to thank you thank all of you for hearing us out today. I am a member of Congressman Josh Harder's Multicultural Action Committee, and I'm here representing both as an LGBT person and also as part of that committee. I also stand before you as a victim of a hate crime where I had a fire extinguisher sprayed in my face and directly into my eyes just for giving someone directions and being nice enough to do that. So I've been there. We've just got done with this whole straight pride thing, and we can't let this stand. As I'm sure you're aware, hate crimes affect all the different facets of our community. I stand before you, or excuse me, I already said that. We as members of this community, or we have members of this community who are on domestic terror watch lists. Additionally, Turlock, Modesto, Stanislaus County, and Stanislaus State University are all wrestling with how to address the hate in our community. What we are asking of you is to change this policy and silently support all of the members of your community, the constituents who elected you, be it Assyrian, Portuguese, LGBT, Filipino. We're asking for your support. And we're asking for it in both the good and the bad. Stick with us with the celebrations. Be a part of our celebrations. And denounce the hate when acts of hate come into your community. And it's very easy to do that silently just by raising a flag. You don't have to go on the record and make any comments or anything, but it does show the community that you support them and that you stand with them. And it's a very simple gesture. So I asked you to please consider that when you're taking into account all of this. And additionally, myself and Josh Harder's Multicultural Committee stands at your disposal if you guys need help with any issues concerning this, and you can always contact me and I'll provide my information to you. Thank you very much for hearing us all out today.
Thank you. May Rico? There we go.
Hello, my name is May Rico. I am the director of Haven Women's Center of Stanislaus. Haven provides services to survivors of domestic and sexual abuse in Stanislaus County, and we have 2 public service locations here in Turlock. I'm here today to support the request that Turlock raise the pride flag. Haven's mission is to support safety in the community. We know the most powerful weapon an abuser can use against their victim is making them afraid to seek help. Afraid to call the police because they might be deported, afraid to go to court for a restraining order because they might lose their children, and afraid to come to agencies like ours because they might be outed and turned away. The reason outing is a threat is because the violence and discrimination experienced by members of the LGBTQ community is so common, deadly, and in many cases, legal. They still have to argue why discrimination against them should be outlawed, and we see our leadership at its highest level arguing for legal discrimination against them, actively trying to preserve that as a right. In that environment, in what we've experienced in our own communities over the last several weeks, why would they trust anyone with their safety? That's why it's so important that the city of Turlock fly the flag. When your very existence carries inherent danger, you can't trust systems to help you until they've proven they see you and accept you. And that's what the pride flag means. That's the message Turlock would be sending to its LGBTQ community. We see you, we accept you, you are a part of us. Thank you.
Dr. Strong? You might as well hold it.
I know, right? You guys are making me follow that up. I mean,
I know,
come
right?
on, jeez. So I wanted to, first off, thank you all for actually recognizing Suicide Prevention Month at the beginning of this. As you guys probably all know, the LGBTQIA youth are 5 times as likely to have attempted suicide compared to heterosexual youth. And so I think it's really important to be remembering that, especially in the context of this conversation. What I did want to say is when I first arrived here, this is my 13th year at Stan State. So 12 years ago when I arrived here, there were very few students at Stan State who identified openly as LGBT. And I also noticed at the same time that there were no student groups who identified as LGBT. There were no events that were related to LGBT folks on campus, and it felt like there was just no pride. So fast forward to these last few years, and now I know a lot of students who come out. I know a lot of faculty, a lot of administration who come out, a lot of staff. And part of the reason for that is because we have actually created space for students. We've created space for our colleagues to be themselves, to be who they are. We have signs, we have flags that denote allyship, that denote LGBT-friendly spaces and activities. My colleagues and I, in my department, we all wear the rainbow sashes to graduation, just so that our students who are graduating know that we have their back. I've also been the faculty advisor for Love Evolution, which is the LGBT club on campus. So in other words, right, there was a culture shift at Stan State campus, and it's because we all cared about our students and our colleagues who identify as LGBTQIA. And we want to make sure that they, not just them, I don't want to do this binary, but how about all of us, right? We all want to make sure that we all know that we all are valued and loved and respected and accepted for who all of us are. So I'm hoping that Turlock can have pride in its members of its community, and that we can all show that pride by raising the rainbow flag so that every citizen, every single citizen here in this community knows that they belong. So thank you.
Jeannie Robinson. And that's the last one I have for Jeannie.
Jeannie Robinson, former kindergarten teacher, retired, last 26 years, Wakefield. Yeah. Yeah. I can't imagine what it's like to constantly live in fear, and flying the flag seems like such a simple, silent statement. There are some things that have occurred in at our highest level of government. These are things that I was not aware of that happened, and these are just a list of things, and when the time runs out, I'll stop. But these are things, official things that have happened that are affecting our community. Start with current and then work backwards. August 23rd this year, following accused sex offender Roy Moore's lead, the Trump administration submits an amicus brief asking the U.S. Supreme Court to rule against workplace protections for LGBTQ Americans. On the 16th of August, the Trump administration files a court brief to the U.S. Supreme Court asking the nation's highest court to block transgender Americans from having nationwide workplace protections. On the 14th of August, the Trump administration revealed they plan to grant federal contractors the ability to use religious exemptions as an excuse to discriminate against LGBTQ Americans at the workplace. Also on the 14th, the Trump administration urged Equal Employment Opportunity Commission to reverse their Obama-era policy of providing workplace protections for LGBTQ Americans. The request comes weeks before oral arguments begin at the U.S. Supreme Court on October 8th. August 9th, President Trump took to Twitter to attack Fox News' Shepard Smith, an openly LGBTQ news anchor for the cable news station. July 31st, President Trump took to Twitter to attack esteemed journalist and openly LGBTQ American Don Lemon. On the 25th of July, a Trump administration official informs U.S. Representative Jamie Raskin from Maryland that the government is separating families with parents who have HIV and AIDS, citing it as a communicable disease. However, the administration admits they are not separating families who have other communicable diseases such as the flu, further stigmatizing the HIV and AIDS epidemic. On the 8th of July, the Trump administration's State Department creates a Commission of Unalienable Rights aimed at providing an informed review of the role of human rights in American foreign policy. However, 7 of the appointees have disturbing anti-LGBTQ records, putting acceptance for the global LGBTQ community at risk. And the last one, on the 28th of June, President Donald Trump used a press conference at the G20 summit in Osaka, Japan, to provide praise, I'll stop, for Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro, an anti-LGBTQ politician who has targeted LGBTQ people in his nation since the day he took office. A lot of this is happening, and we're not even aware of it. And it's up there. Just a simple flying of the flag would say so much. Thank you.
I have no other blue cards for this. So I don't have any other blue cards, so I'll go ahead and close this. We still have public comment for another. Oh, I'm sorry, didn't have anything, Myrna. I'm sorry, come on up. It didn't say why, so I thought it was something else. Myrna? All right. Yell at me. He gave it to me. I just didn't have a title, so I didn't know why. So, all right.
Okay. Good evening, council members and city staff. My name is Myrna Wax, if you don't know me already. I am a resident of Turlock, and I'm here to tell you what the rainbow flag means to me. The rainbow flag is a symbol of love. Love of all people, regardless of their ethnicity, religion, or no religion, disability, sexual preference, and so much more. I believe flying the rainbow flag in front of our city buildings is a wish that all people will accept all people. If it was up to me, I would have flown it every day of the year, not just on the one day that we are asking for. It's not about LGBT only. It's about fighting hate and accepting all humans. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. This is just for the topic of the flag? Yes. All right, go ahead. And just tell us your name, sir.
My name is Steve Davis. I want to acknowledge the City Council, the Mayor, and all the auxiliaries and participants. You know, this is one thing that I caught, and I'll be really brief, but very sincere. I know that there's a lot of concerns, a lot of passions, a lot of statements in images. But we have one thing really in common. We're American. So if we're American, I look at what is the value of an alternative flag when we have a flag that should really be a symbol of all the greater virtues, even in lesser experiences. That flag has been present in many lesser experiences in this country's history. But yet we still tout it, looking not at the horrible aspects, but the virtuous aspects. If we really see into the flag ourselves, then we wouldn't need an alternative. We would see the value in what we already have. But if you don't see the value in what we already have, then you want to recreate something that measures up to our expectation when what we have is each other. And if we value each other, we value everything that that expresses. So when I look at the flag, it's an image of all of us. It's an image of the virtue that is in all of us, inherently, potentially, and overtly, abstractly and concretely. You know, that's not just the past, but it's even the future. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. All right. So I'll close this and close public participation on that. And is there any last minute from colleagues? Okay, before. Was there? Okay, go ahead, of course.
Yeah, I just want to make a quick comment without getting into debate, but anybody that knows me knows that I will stand up to hate. I don't care who's wearing what color. You know me, I will stand up to any kind of hate from anybody towards anybody. So please don't sit there and try to accuse me of something because you didn't get something you asked for. That's not the case. I will be the first one to have your back, anybody's back out here that is being harassed, abused, or any kind of issue coming towards you. I will be there first. And please, people, I kind of like what just said the last comment. I am an American. You are all Americans. I treat you as Americans. I would like you to treat me as an American and as a human being, because that's what I'm going to treat you like. Human beings. Remember that, please.
Anything else? All right. Before we go to public participation, I just want to go ahead and capitalize on this moment. our city's in dire straits, and we don't have personnel and we don't have money. And so for us to do anything takes a lot. And I appreciate the professionalism that came to the lectern tonight. But we're all trying to solve a huge problem, and it's not easy. And we also are persecuted constantly, emails, phone calls, any type of communications. And what I'm asking for from our public is grace that we will provide everyone else, as well as just the professionalism and respect that we may have differences of opinions on a vote or something like that. But overall, we are all here to serve Turlock, and we can't get through the minutia to address the huge issues of Turlock when, and I'm not saying that the flag was a minutia, I'm getting to another point here, is that my colleagues and I are trying to work together. And so we're asking that you make sure that you give us some grace and some professionalism when it comes to communications. We shouldn't be attacked for just trying to help out. We're not really making any money out of this. $500 before taxes, we're not getting rich. No medical. So don't know what you hear, but I'm asking you, can you just make sure that you at least remember that we're here trying to help Turlock? And as I say that, I know that Manuel Drummond is getting really upset because he wanted to be first in public participation. So, open public participation, Mr. Drummond. All right. Sorry.
No problem. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I came here initially to support the Al family. They were a longtime family in Turlock, and I'm glad you guys gave them a proclamation and whatnot. They well deserved it. But while I'm here, I just wanted to real quick put a shout out to the public. As you all know, I belong Turlock Together here in town, the food and toy giveaway thing at Christmas time. And we're in dire needs of volunteers. People are stepping up to help us out during November, December, during the heavy times we need it. Picking up barrels, we need someone, a volunteer, somebody that's kind of semi-retired that can help pick up barrels, deliver barrels and stuff like that. Some of our crew people are getting older. I can't do it all myself. My back hurts once in a while, but we're just putting the word out there. If anyone in the city of Turlock is willing to help and volunteer, we are more than welcome. We're strictly a volunteer organization. It's whoever shows up and wants to participate. We have a core group that's been dedicated the last 20-some years. But we meet next Tuesday morning at 7 o'clock at the Salt Room at Salvation Army. We meet every month. So if anyone's interested in helping out in any way or has any concerns or questions, please come to the meeting or give me a call or Major Strum at the Salvation Army. Just putting the word out there. We're gearing up for the holiday. It's right around the corner. So again, thank you very much for the time. Have a good evening.
Yeah, it's a lot of good work you guys do. I appreciate it. Diane Bartlett? Okay, is that what you're waiting for? I don't
Good
think.
evening, my name is Diane Bartlett. I'm the supervising librarian at the Turlock Public Library. And usually every month I come and I'd like to talk a little bit about library events. Well, tonight is a little bit different. I wanted to come and say what a fabulous staff Turlock, the city of Turlock has. So Turlock Library a couple weeks ago had a sewer problem, and while our county plumber was working on it, somebody suggested that I call the city of Turlock and let them know what's going on, and I did. I started out by saying, I have a stupid question. Well, the person who answered the phone was so polite and so professional and so caring, and that continued through all municipal services, through the water department, and the first thing was that they were so timely. About half an hour to an hour after I called, I opened up the back door. There was the city truck. I could not believe it. They helped us with the problem. They followed up. They kept us informed. And we just are impressed and so thankful to the staff of the city. And I told our friends that night that everyone who lives in Turlock has to feel lucky that they live in Turlock and have the wonderful support that they do. So thank you so much.
Nice.
And then today, the Board of Supervisors, County Board of Supervisors, approved proceeding with the Turlock Library expansion project. So it's just one more little step ahead. So it is advancing slowly. But we are still there, still operating, and even though I said I was not here to talk about library events, come and see us at the library anyway. Thank you.
Thank you. Sounds like, Mr. Cook, your people are working better without you. Sam Regalado, something about wayside streets bad? What?
What?
Never heard that.
Honorable council members. My name is Sam Regalado. I've lived on Windsor Court, which is adjacent to Wayside Street, and since 1989. Prior to that, I lived at the Brentwood complex that lies along Wayside Drive, which of course is the subject of my concern, and as such, also my concern about the state of disrepair for Wayside. As it has been since the first time that I lived alongside Wayside, going back to 1988. Since that time, not a single time has the street been properly paved, and as best I know, that's been the circumstance since the early 1970s. Such lack of attention has been shameful at best. At worst, your predecessors failed the taxpayers of our community. The question is, will the current city council follow suit, or will you be different? Thus far, any action on Wayside has been absence, and I've seen no demonstration of any change on the street or in the council minutes, which I've been reviewing since last April. Right now, I think we'd settle for cobblestone. Over 2 years, I've started correspondence with then councilperson Matthew Jacob, who assured me then that the then special election had led to funding for street repair to include Wayside. That correspondence continued when Nicole Larson assumed her current role as our district representative. Indeed, I shared my email exchanges with her. Councilperson Jacobs, I shared them with her. In our last correspondence, back in April of 2019, Councilperson Larson revealed to me that the council was engaged in quote-unquote street maintenance strategy, and that the council was, and I quote, diligently working on it. Since then, and after reviewing the council minutes, there appears to be no action planned for Wayside that at least I can see. As such, I'm here before you now some 5 months later with my questions still on the table. When can we expect to see Wayside repaired? And if there's a problem, what is the delay? And to Councilperson Larson, when was the last time you visited Wayside? And did you give it extensive review? This inquiring mind would like to know. Thank you very much.
And John Belson?
Well, I'm going to follow up on Wayside. I moved down here from Oakland 33 years ago. I fell in love with this town. I bought a home in this town. I watched this town grow. Now I'm watching it deteriorate. And it's deteriorating badly. Sam pointed out roughly 45 years ago, Wayside Drive was last repaired according to records of the PG&E engineers. You, on your website, showed pictures soliciting votes using the Wayside or your website showing how bad the roads were. They haven't changed. They're still terrible. We have had injuries on the road. We have had people from the assisted care homes trying to cross the street fall down and hurt themselves. We have had bicyclers get flats going down the road. Sam was absolutely right. We haven't seen anything over 40 years. Now, you mentioned on your website in the last 20 years a road should last. What has happened? Nothing. Your past mayor, who had a tendency to embellish I spoke to on several occasions along with other members, and you as well. Nothing has happened. There has been nothing. My question is, when is it going to happen? That's it. Thank you.
So, Mr. Cook, we'll put out a thing when we have our workshop. We will be having a road workshop to do some alterations of how we're doing business with roads. Is that correct?
That's correct. We hope to have a workshop this month and look at all our various funding sources for roads and prioritize roads and figure out how to get some of those done more quickly and readily.
Thank you. Is Liz here? This can't be Mary. Milt Treeweiler.
Yes, I wanted to speak briefly, Mayor and Council, speak briefly on an item that's coming up, the item 7B, if you could just glance at that in your agenda. The Turlock Municipal Code requires that all significant industrial wastewater users to purchase a wastewater capacity at the wastewater treatment plant, our RWQCF. And so actually, Michael, would you please?
Oh, I'm sorry.
about a specific agenda
If
item.
this is specific to an item, then we
it's
should have you speak then.
Okay, yes.
If that's okay? Okay.
I'm sorry, Milt, we called you under the wrong item.
I didn't look. All my fault, Milt. I say that a lot since my husband's name's Milt. Okay, any other person for public participation? All right, I'm going to close the public hearing and participation, and we'll move to a motion waiving reading of all ordinances on the agenda except by title. We have a motion and a second. Clerk?
Councilmember Ariano?
Yes.
Councilmember Nasrati?
Yes.
Councilmember Larson?
Yes.
Councilmember Esquer?
Yes.
Mayor Bublak?
Yes, passes. Consent calendar, anything to be pulled? Are we good? E, item E, Edward, is being pulled by Andrew. Anybody else? If not, a motion for the rest of them? We have a motion by Councilmember Nasrati and a second by, okay, clerk call the roll.
Adopting the amended consent calendar, Councilmember Ariano?
Yes.
Councilmember Nasrati?
Yes.
Councilmember Larson?
Yes.
Councilmember Esquer?
Yes.
Mayor Bublak?
Yes, passes 5-0. Item E, Edward, motion approving contract change order number 1 in the amount of $34,000 and change for Christopherson Parkway Class 2 bicycle improvements. Mr. Bray. Is there a specific question for him?
Yeah, so I looked over this project. The specific $34,000 is because we have substandard lane width that occurred after the striping, correct?
Yeah, that is, that is correct. That would have occurred if this change were not made to Christopherson, yes.
Is there any liability that we incur with substandard lane width, or is it just a preference?
Yeah, no, there could be. If we have facilities that are not to certain codes or deemed to be not safe, then we could have some liability. That's the reason this change was made, is to avoid any sort of liability and also to provide facilities that drivers are more accustomed to driving on.
I remember this was one of the things that originally came before me that was kind of surprising, that $430,000 to paint a street. I think that $34,000, if there's any sort of legal liability, I'm all for spending that. But if it's a matter of preference, do we have definite confirmation that this is something? I guess I'm speaking to the city attorney, that if we do not do this, we'll incur risk.
So I think, and Mr. Bray can correct me if I state this wrong, we do these things proactively to avoid the prospect of entering into a point where we would have liability. We wouldn't do it necessarily absent that.
That is correct. And we would definitely have substandard facilities if we did not make this modification.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll open it to the public. Anyone wishing to speak regarding the Christopherson bike lanes? Okay, we'll close that public discussion, bring it back. What is the will of council? We have a motion.
Second.
And a second. Do you have something to say?
No.
All right, you're just getting ready. Clerk on the roll.
Councilmember Ariano?
Yes.
Councilmember Nasrati?
Yes.
Councilmember Larson?
Yes.
Councilmember Esquer,
Yes.
Mayor Bublak.
Yes, it passes 5-0. Thank you, Mr. Bray. Final readings. Item 7A is adopting an ordinance approving a development agreement by and between the City of Turlock and Firehouse Cooperative, Inc. Mr. White?
Mayor and council, this is second and final reading for ordinance adopting a development agreement for 1601 West Main Street to allow Firehouse Cooperative to operate a retail dispensary cannabis business at that location. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. I would note for the record that in order for this to have any effect, it would Firehouse would also have to be granted a conditional use permit for the same location.
And that process is still going through planning?
Yes, and we expect it to be at the second meeting in October.
So this is not an approval tonight?
This is an approval of the development agreement,
Right,
like
but
the
not-
financial
not the
arrangement.
final.
But it's no final here. It's contingent upon something else.
Just trying to help you, Mary. Okay, any questions of staff? All right, I'll open it to the public. Anyone wishing to speak? Please.
Hi, good evening. My name is Brandy Gimperly. I come to you guys as a Turlock Unified School District employee, a concerned parent, and also a business owner. With 7,000 plus Turlock people going to Modesto, I understand why we want the dispensary here and the money kept here in Turlock. But I am here today to strongly urge you guys to please reconsider the site. At our last meeting, Firehouse talked about there are two other locations, the one in Riverbank and the one in Modesto. They spoke about safety and how they are close to schools, but they have had no complaints. I was able to have the time to contact those two schools. One of the schools is the Modesto one. Speaking to the vice principal, he agreed. They don't have any problems with the kids going that way. Why? Because it's not accessible to the kids. They literally have to cross over Hatch Road to get there. A lot of the kids that live on this side, they're bused. So I don't understand why we're talking and using that as an example for our Osborne school. Also, Riverbank. If you look at the location of the Riverbank, it's on Patterson Road, Highway 108. Of course, our children aren't going to walk that far and go across 108 to go have access to the firehouse. I talked to 3 PTA parents, and I spoke to the vice principal. Again, the students on this side are best. Today I was at Turlock High School when everything happened. It was an experience. I was out at lunch. I saw 500 kids running, screaming, afterwards laying into a classroom for an hour and a half with it dark. Because what if? When I walked out of the classroom, there was papers all over the ground, backpacks, things left from kids that had just fled. We sit here and we talk about how we have armed guards, how safe this dispensary is going to be, but there's always going to be that what if. Let's not make our children a what if. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Jackson.
I didn't get here early enough. Cannot explain how thankful I am, Chief, to you and your staff and the extra officers. I'm going to read. I don't believe I could have planned a terrible event to happen just 6 hours before the City Council is voting on the development agreement for the marijuana dispensary on 1601 West Main Street. It was a 2-hour lockdown. Osborne is 2 blocks away from the proposed dispensary. Now, I know our neighbors in the middle at the cemetery aren't saying much, but every parent, I've talked to about 50 so far, except for one, does not want the dispensary close to any school. I found, because I drove around last Sunday, I still have a sense of humor. I always believe I have a sense of humor. West of Highway 99, on South Tegner and South Kilroy and all those little Acme and all those little streets with suitable office, warehouse, and parking available. They're empty. It's there.
Because from what I understand, there's 800 to 1,000 people using this dispensary a day. And we have kids that walk to school. Their parents do not have cars. There's also a neighborhood, Homer and those streets off of Tully, that those kids get off of a bus. There's kids that get off a bus on Soderquist that walk home. I'm mystified why the Turlock Unified School District's administrators were told to wait until October to protest during the conditional use permit process to protest the site and ask for it to be moved. This goes against everything I believe in as an elected official, and this is why I'm talking to the owners of Firehouse and Mr. Settler, not Mr. Warda. I consider myself to be a pragmatist who does my best to not waste government or business owners' money and time. So I don't want to go to that conditional use permit. I would rather deal with it right now. I don't want you to waste their time and money and have to keep paying attorneys and all that stuff. But if we are forced to, we will, but again, that's not what I want. I'm not against the dispensary, I just don't want it near a school. I now sit on the Turlock Unified School District Board. I don't want to buy any school. Okay, it should be 2,000 or 3,000 feet. Today was a horrible 2 hours. Whether you have children or not there, trust me. You know, I have to decide, do I go and leave? Do I go wait outside like the other parents? My daughter is in a classroom that her teacher believed that the shooter was by them, and I'm trying to stay calm. Okay, I don't want anybody to have to go through this. My 3 daughters and I actually talked about what happened today. My 10-year-old twins could only recall one true lockdown at their school. 1 in 5 years. Okay, and our homeschool is Julene, by the way. We drive to Osborne every day. Can you imagine an armed shooter or shots fired near Osborne where 900 5 to 11-year-olds learn? Would you want to be in a room with them for 2 hours and try to keep them quiet and safe? None of you can make a promise to we parents that our children will be just as safe with our new neighbor. I want one less threat near our schools.
Anyone else? Public participation, Mr. Ward, are you speaking?
To respond to my friend Mary Jackson.
She didn't talk to you.
Ms. Gemperle spoke about the schools in Modesto. There's a private school that we were referring to that has students. It is much closer. It's right around the corner from this location. She also referenced Riverbank School District, and I did contact Riverbank School District just to find out if there was any issues. I thought that would be informative. No other reason. I appreciate Ms. Jackson's comments, but you know, there's a public hearing, there's a process that I think we're all going to move through. That gives the property owners an opportunity to present evidence that addresses that issue. My understanding, just briefly, of this location is that if kids are walking in front of this location, it's because they're going to cross under Highway 99. There's no, but the personal experience I've had with this location is that kids are not walking in front of this location. The kids are not walking past this location to cross under Highway 99 to go into wherever, you know, whatever's on the other side of Highway 99. There are kids that I did see, 2 kids that came up, turned right on Tully Road, and walked to the residential area that's over there. But they're blocked by another business, and that business sells alcohol and cigarettes. So, I mean, again, I think this is appropriately heard in the conditional use permit process. There'll be an opportunity for everybody to be heard. We plan on meeting with the school district folks just to explain everything in terms of how this business operates and how, frankly, cleans up neighborhoods. Thank you very much.
Anyone else? If not, we'll go ahead and close the public participation and bring it back to what's the will of council.
Mary wants to know if she gets through this one. Oh, whether or not.
No, you're going to go to the planning commission next, so you get it. This is formality for you.
Move to adopt the ordinance?
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. Clerk, call the roll.
Approving a development agreement by and between the City of Turlock and Firehouse Cooperative, Inc., located at 1601 West Main Street, Turlock, California, County of Stanislaus, Assessor's Parcel Number 089-015-006, as introduced at the August 27, 2019 City Council meeting. Councilmember Ariano?
Yes.
Councilmember Nasrati?
Yes.
Councilmember Larson?
Yes.
Councilmember Esquer?
Yes.
Mayor Bublak?
No, it passes 4-1, and we'll move on to item B, adopting ordinance development agreement between the City of Turlock and Fuego Azul, Inc., located at 495 South Golden State Boulevard. Mr. White?
Yeah, Mayor and Council, this is another group that's going to be operated by the Premier Group. Fuego Azul will be doing cultivation, manufacturing, and distribution from the 495 South Golden State Boulevard. Again, this one would be subject to a conditional use permit if it passed, so the development agreement in and of itself doesn't do anything, but it is in fact a binding agreement.
Questions for staff? Not, we'll open it to the public. Milt, this is the appropriate time, I'm sorry. Here we go. Oh, yeah, you got us going. We knew where it's coming now.
Okay, so it is this item that I'm speaking on, and my question will actually be addressed to our interim city manager, Michael, because he's the man who has the answers. And the question, first of all, the statement, the Turlock Municipal Code requires that all significant industrial wastewater users to purchase wastewater capacity at the wastewater treatment plant, RWQCF. So the two questions I have, what is the waste material, since they will be manufacturing or growing plants there, they're going to be using chemicals, and those chemicals are going to be going into our wastewater treatment plant. Have they purchased the wastewater capacity they need? That's a second question, so that they will be paying for the expense that it's going to cost the city and the citizens of Turlock to have this water purified so it can be sent to as clean wastewater. And that's my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, I'll close the public hearing, and Mr. Cook, you have a response, sir?
This would be a great question for the acting municipal services director, but I gave him some time off, so.
Dang it.
We have to settle for the interim city manager. So, Mr. Trudeau is correct. It's significant industrial users are defined as an industry that discharges more than 25,000 gallons of wastewater per day, or wastewater could be potentially hazardous to the processes at the wastewater treatment facility. So as part of the use permit process, our environmental compliance inspector, Kevin Van Patten, is working with the applicant to review, they fill out a questionnaire, review their potential wastewater, if any, and again, the applicant could fill in if they actually do have any or any significant wastewater, and that will be reviewed. And even if it's just a small amount, it's potentially hazardous, they will have to put in some type of pre-treatment system in before they discharge to our wastewater system. But as the applicants are here, I don't know if you could fill in about if that's appropriate, Mayor, to what their waste stream is actually like.
I'll open the public hearing.
Yeah.
Now if Mary finds out I'm in trouble.
Virtually all of the water is recycled. There is hardly any discharge from these facilities. And of course, if through the analysis there's any discovery that anything needs to be done, the applicant will comply. But I can tell you that virtually every drop of water is recycled in these facilities. Thanks.
All right. Mary, you want to cover your question while it's still open for this one, just to add it in? No, you good? Okay, very nice. All right, I'm going to close the public hearing and I'm trying to be fair. What's the will of council?
Move to adopt.
We have a motion.
Seconded.
And a second. Clerk, call the roll.
Approving a development agreement by and between the City of Turlock and Fuego Azul, Inc., located at 495 South Golden State Boulevard, Turlock, California, County of Stanislaus, Assessor's Parcel Number 043-051-016, as introduced at the August 27, 2019 City Council meeting. Councilmember Ariano?
No.
Councilmember Nazrati?
Yes.
Councilmember Larson?
Yes.
Councilmember Esquer?
Yes.
Mayor Bublak?
No, it passes 3-2. Item C, which is being removed per the applicant, but it is an ordinance with a development agreement with the City of Turlock and Cal State Ventures 2 located at 501 West F Street. Is there anyone wishing to speak in public about this? I'll open the public participation. I will close public participation and it will be continued or pulled. Okay, public hearings. Request to introduce an ordinance for the first reading approving a development agreement by and between the City of Turlock and Evergreen Market, Inc., 693 North Golden State Boulevard. Mr. White. Nope.
Mayor, I'll be turning it over to Ms. Burnley from our office to do the presentation.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm here today to provide an update on the status of the cannabis pilot program. We'll start with the timeline. The council has adopted and decided to move forward with the cannabis pilot program in response to the state's regulations that allow delivery in any jurisdiction in the state. I'm sorry. The RFQ process received over 40 responses, and the central purpose was to find applicants that are a good fit for the city and ensure qualifications. Next, what's on the agenda for tonight is the negotiation and approval of development agreements. And after that, the conditional use permit process, which the Planning Commission will hold those hearings. The development agreements, what we're looking at tonight, are negotiated with each cannabis operator. They memorialize the public benefit amount contributions to the city and other financial arrangements. They protect the city and applicant by locking in rights and obligations for both parties. And they're conditioned on the approval of the conditional use permit. Basically, these development agreements ensure that the applicants are serious about operating the business and are binding to the city. This is the public benefit amount to the city. Each month, each operator will be required to pay a minimum of $25,000 or 5.2% of their gross receipts, whichever is greater, and that amount increases over time. Next is the conditional use permitting process. This is basically where all the nuts and bolts are hammered out. That's typically about 40 to 50 pages of conditions. For example, security, locations, notices are sent out to the community. This is a major step in the process and will ultimately be decided by the Planning Commission. All right, so your Planning Commission voted to recommend the approval of both items on the agenda tonight. There are two applicants, that's the Evergreen and Perfect Union, and I believe that they are both here to give a quick presentation. And with that, I'll take any questions that the council may have.
Questions, staff? Okay. Mr. Wright, did you have something?
No,
You have
just
questions?
no question. But 8A, so Evergreen would be the first one we would be hearing.
Okay. Please come up to the lectern.
Thank you. Good evening, Council, Mayor Bublek. I'm Eric Gaston. I'm the owner and co-founder of Evergreen Market. We operate 5 stores in Washington State and are looking forward to opening our first out-of-state store and our 6th store here in Turlock. This is the 4th city that I've addressed with regard to opening a cannabis business, and I know that the decision to welcome cannabis into your community is not one that any of you take lightly. I'm a former prosecutor. I'm the father of 3 kids and a husband, and the decision to sell cannabis is not one that I took lightly. I started into this endeavor with the idea that I wanted to create a business that my wife and my kids could be proud of, that my parents could be proud of, and I believe that we've done that. I will walk you through a slideshow here. We have, between myself and my 2 partners, 200 years of relevant experience. All of us are dads. Between us, we have 7 kids. We have a track record of navigating Washington's cannabis laws that are, by and large, the most rigid and stringent in the world. The regulation in Washington is significant. We have been able to successfully run all of our 5 stores in Washington with 0 debt. We are self-financed, we're fully banked. We have demonstrated a record of tax payment and compliance and a track record of partnership with the government and existing operations. We realize that a business is only going to be as strong as its connection to the community. And one of our primary drivers as a company is to embrace not just the cannabis community, but the communities that support our businesses. I have personally served in the Chamber of Commerce for the City of Renton, where we have 2 stores. I'm actively involved with the Washington State Liquor and Cannabis Board on their advisory council. I'm a founder of CORE, which is our state's retail trade organization, and we're starting the Craft Cannabis Coalition, and we're looking to have that same level of involvement in California, and we're going to start that with Turlock. We're hoping that this is going to be one of many stores in California. We were very much looking forward to working with a community that's very similar to the communities that our other stores operate in. Smaller communities, conservative communities, and we don't want to be in downtown LA. We don't want to be in Hollywood. We want to be in towns just like Turlock, in towns like Renton, Washington, Bellevue, Washington, Kirkland, Washington, and really, really looking forward to meeting you all, working with the city, and I'm hopeful that we're going to make sure that you don't regret the decision to have cannabis here in Turlock. I've met briefly with some of the other operators. I can tell you that when we started 5 years ago, there was a lot of trepidation in Washington too. The parade of horribles is going to cause violent crime. Kids are going to smoke. It's going to be a disaster. And the fact of the matter is none of that has occurred. In communities that have legal cannabis, states that have legalized cannabis, violent crime has gone down. Underage consumption of cannabis has gone down in regulated states. I can't promise you that your fears aren't going to be realized here. I don't think they will be. What I can promise you is that we run a very, very good business. We hire very good people. We're committed to our communities that we operated in. We're committed to our employee base, and we're committed to our customers. Our core values are educate, celebrate, and elevate, and we're committed to those. Our cornerstone of our operations is education. We want to educate people that are not familiar with cannabis because it's important that you understand how edibles work. The vape issue is a really big deal right now. But we also educate people that have a passion for cannabis and make sure to hire people that can connect with those people as well. We want to celebrate our industry. We want to celebrate the growers that we carry. We want to celebrate Turlock. So thank you very much for the opportunity to present tonight. And again, I'm really, really excited to show Turlock what the Evergreen Market can do in California.
Questions for him?
What's your hiring strategy with you not being familiar with the Valley?
100% local. We're going to have an executive that lives in Turlock. We're all going to be chasing after the same excellent candidates, so that's going to be a challenge. We are planning that now. Perhaps a job fair, maybe we can combine resources as an industry and make it a bigger deal than just an ad in Craigslist or the newspaper. But I'm looking forward to meeting the local employee base here and supporting them.
What's your definition? I'm sorry.
Oh, wait. Are one of the owners going to be here to facilitate,
Yeah.
opening a new business? I'm a business owner. It takes a while to get going. Like, are you committed to you live in Washington, I'm
I do.
assuming?
Yeah.
So someone being, committed to this area to make sure that things are
100%.
above board.
Yeah, and that was our concern going into this process is, we would sort of be cast as the carpetbaggers from Washington, and we're committed to having a successful business, and we can't have a successful business if we're not involved as owners. We have a very strong vision of what our stores look like, what they feel like. It's really important to us that our brand isn't watered down, and we're going to be launching the store here in Turlock with very strong candidates and hopefully support from Stanislaus County and the employee base that we're going to draw from here.
So you had said local. You're gonna. What's your definition of local?
The county.
Okay. So Stanislaus County.
Sorry, this is Dustin Moore. I actually, I'm in Sacramento. I'm going to be here locally. in Turlock. But we've already done some outreach. So we've been working with Kristen Olson. She's been doing a lot of our community outreach as well. We've already done some outreach to Cal State Stanislaus. So that's when we're talking about Cal State or Stanislaus County. We've done some outreach to Cal State Stanislaus to partner with their workforce development program, so we can actually take Turlock City residents and give them workforce credit for working with us, and then hopefully develop some educational training programs through the school.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Certainly.
Anyone in the public wish to speak? I will close the public hearing, bring it back to council. What is the will of council? Somebody want to introduce this?
So moved.
We have a motion and a second on 8A. Clerk, call the roll.
Introducing an ordinance for first reading, approving a development agreement by and between the City of Turlock and the Evergreen Market, Turlock, Inc., located at 693 North Golden State Boulevard, Turlock, California, County of Stanislaus, Assessor's Parcel Number 061-041-006, and setting the final reading date for September 24th, 2019. Councilmember Ariano?
Yes.
Councilmember Nazrati?
Yes?
Councilmember Larson?
Yes.
Councilmember Esquer?
Yes.
Mayor Bublak?
No, it passes 4-1. On to the second, which is ordinance first reading for Perfect Union.
Mayor and council, yeah, this is for a proposed location at 2500 North Golden State Boulevard.
Good evening. My name is David Spradlin. I'm the founder and CEO of Perfect Union, and thank you guys for the opportunity to speak. It sounds like it's thank you. I know it's been a long night and a draining day for you guys, so I'll keep it quick and let you guys answer questions. Perfect Union's been in the cannabis space on the one side or another, in the cultivation side since 2006, on the retail side since 2009. So we've been in California for a lot of years and have really got an opportunity and to both watch and play a part in the growth of this industry, which is something we take a lot of pride in. We currently have 3 stores in Sacramento, a store in Marysville, and are currently working on opening stores in Morro Bay, South Lake Tahoe, and hopefully Turlock soon if you guys will it. So we're fully integrated. We control the supply chain from top to bottom, from cultivation, manufacturing, delivery, distribution, and retail. That's really important to us. And you know, this has been a pretty volatile space for a lot of years. So controlling that quality and then the experience at the bar for our patients has always been super important to us. We don't like to will it to the marketplace. So we also have 5 stores in the state of New Mexico and are working on some stuff in Southern California as well. So let me go through the PowerPoint for you guys. So yeah, that's a list of our projects there. We come from Sacramento. All our staff is Central Valley people, from Chico to Patterson to Stockton. All our back office folks, we just come from here. So all our employees, like some of the other applicants, we're going to do 100% local hire. We'll bring our people down from Sacramento. We'll train them here. Typically, we do a jobs fair. It gives us another opportunity to touch with the community and see what the needs of the community are. Our operations, we're very medically focused. We come from that, and while retail is kind of the name of the game now from a competitive standpoint in the marketplace, we have to do it, but we still consider all our people patients. We still train our bud tenders to really focus on the needs of each patient that steps before them. Our stores are laid out with fully contained spaces for each bud tender to have an interaction with the patient, sound dampening above. They go through 3 weeks of training with how to interact with patients with special needs. We've always had compassion programs for patients with AIDS, colitis, cancer, where they get free medicine and free counseling on site. It's just kind of the space that we came up in, and my mentors taught me how to do that. All our people are contracted in the UFCW. We're the third operator in the state of California to have a unionized shop. So now we have over 150 workers all under union contract, full benefit package, paid vacation. The closest thing we can get to a pension, I'm a trustee on the IAP, the individual account plan, which is a modified version. The closest thing we get to a defined benefit, because the union's still a little iffy about putting cannabis money into their pension fund because of the federal regulations. But we're always inching towards getting them that full benefit, because we really for years wanted to make this a career path for people, not just, you know, a transient job like a 7-Eleven or something like that. We really wanted to create career paths for people, and we have a huge retention rate. I got people that have been with me for 10 years, and that's something we're really, really proud of. We just recently started from hiring outside the organization. Up until then, it was policy that everybody grew from within. Started off as bud tender, worked up to supervisor, and then up into management. So that's something we take a lot of pride in. I was one of the founding members of the first state-approved apprenticeship program for cannabis. So workforce development is big in our company, and will continue to be. So what we'll probably do with our staffing is, you know, we'll have a jobs fair. We'll get, you know, touchstone with everybody. We'll train them down here. We'll bring some of our managers down from Sacramento, and then once they're trained, it usually takes about 90 days to get a store fully functioning and rolling smooth, and then we'll turn it over to the local management. And like I said, we're an hour drive away, so it's easy for us to come down. Philanthropic giving, you know, I spoke to Planning Commission the other night, and it's really been a necessary thing for us. It's not only part of our company DNA, but as far as integrating ourselves into the community, coming from the medical space, we used to get a lot of hard looks, you know, when we were applying in this kind of a setting. It used to be a lot more difficult than it is now. So really getting to know the community, getting to know the patient base, getting to know the leadership, that just kind of facilitated that philanthropic side. We needed to, you know, take care of the communities that were taking care of us. We've always had that collective model. That's how we started in the medical space, is, you know, collectively providing cannabis to each other, and that just kind of stuck, and it's still a base level thing for our organization today. So with that, I'll turn it over to our VP of Business Development to talk about our location, because he's been working much more on that, and then I'll be available for questions.
Good evening, Mayor Bublak, council members. Thank you for having us down here. My name is Tom Sheridan. I'm the Vice President of Business Development for Perfect Union. I'm also a licensed attorney and real estate developer. I've worked with Dave for the better part of a decade, and I've never really seen anything like it. And so he's been doing work in this industry better than anybody I've seen. And so he's really set the stage and been an integral piece. And he's too modest to tell you, but he's, you know, run the largest dispensary in Sacramento for the better part of a decade, doing, you know, $15 to $18 million in revenue, and that's just one of the shops. So it really is impressive. We've had no issues, and so we really appreciate the opportunity to bring that experience to Turlock, and we thank you for that. Although this isn't a conditional use permit hearing, we did want to tell you a little bit about our site. So we have 2500 North Golden State Boulevard in Escrow. It's fully fenced. It has plenty of parking, and will fit our use perfectly. So it will require some tenant improvements, plans which we're working on, and we'll have the opportunity to bring before you, but we wanted to show you a little bit of what our facilities look like. This is a ground-up facility we built in Marysville. We tore down an old dilapidated warehouse and literally built this from the ground up. It was the first one we did, which we're really proud of. So here's some interior pictures of our store in Sacramento. You can see the sound dampening over the bars that David was talking about. So this is similar to what our store here will look like. It's going to be clean, top-notch, well-landscaped. Security will be tight, and I think it's something that we can all be proud of, and I think it will do a lot for the area. We have not only full closed-circuit television, this 90-day high-def recording, capturing every inch of the premises, but we also run security guards and everything else. So we found the areas that we go to, we tend to actually better the security in the local jurisdiction rather than make it worse like everybody talks about. I even had the opportunity recently in Marysville. I was contacted by the fire department wanting to know if we had any footage of somebody that ran into a control pedestal. Within 2 hours, we had high definition pictures of the license plate to them, and they were able to go and actually make an arrest on it. So we look forward to providing that same level of service and expertise here, and look forward to working with you. So thanks for having us. If I can answer any questions, I'm happy to do it.
And just really briefly, Katie Maple, Vice President of Government Affairs and Compliance. I've met with most of you already, and I just wanted to extend to you an offer to come and take a tour of our facilities. So in Sacramento, we have our flagship dispensary, our indoor cultivation facility, and our distribution facility, all within a few blocks. So I would love to have you out there. Thank you.
Questions of any of them?
So are you the owner?
Yes.
You are? And
Yes.
how long have you been?
In one form or another since 2007.
Okay.
So
Is there any,
several iterations of the company.
so we know where to find you?
Yeah, absolutely.
I got a letter from one of my friends that's a pharmacist, and she wanted to know you know, since you guys, and I looked you up, mostly deal with medical, but you are in the retail side, that's where the money is, I get that. But do you have some sort of, or could we implement some sort of pharmaceutical program, or do you have that in Sacramento? Where you're bringing in pharmacists that are coming out of school and, you know, just making sure that that medical, component is there?
Yeah, so we've wrestled with that a lot. It's tough to get pharmacists to come in because it is unregulated substance. So it's been tough. We do provide on-site. We have nurses come in and do counseling, usually weekly, at our flagship facility. But having pharmacists come on has always been a kind of a dangerous line, even to find people that would consider people, you know, off-handle support. But having someone come in the facility, it's kind of a dangerous line for them. Same thing with why you have to have a doctor's recommendation rather than have a doctor's prescription. So we train our staff pretty thoroughly. We do have people with medical experience on staff, but as far as a pharmacist on site, we haven't crossed that bridge yet. In New Mexico, we have a medical doctor, a nurse practitioner, 2 nurse practitioners on our board because of statute we have to have that. So it's a little bit different environment down there. So you know. Not as strict, no. Not as strict, and harder to find because we've looked for pharmacists and we haven't. It's been a while, but it's been tough to find because of the federal thing, you know. So.
Thank you. We'll close the public hearing. What is the will of council? You really?
Second.
Motion and a second. Clerk, call roll.
Introducing an ordinance for first reading, approving a development agreement by and between the City of Turlock and Perfect Union Turlock LLC, located at 2500 North Golden State Boulevard, Turlock, California, County of Stanislaus, Assessor's Parcel Number 088-007-025, and setting the final reading date for September 24, 2019. Councilmember Ariano?
Yes.
Councilmember Nasrati?
Yes.
Councilmember Larson?
Yes.
Councilmember Iscar?
Yes.
Mayor Bublak?
No, it passes 4-1, and thank you guys for coming. Action items, we have none. Item 10, city manager report updates. What have you done? What's going on?
Mayor Bublak, last Wednesday, I attended the City of Turlock and Stan State Joint Task Force on Diversity and Inclusion. They're in the early stages of planning an event, like a workshop or a summit, as a follow-up to the Stand Against Hate event that was held at Pittman High School last March. And they asked if council members, they suggested council members are welcome to suggest any topic for the event, something along the lines of diversity and inclusion. So they're just in the early stages right now, but there is an issue out there that's a concern for you, particularly among K through 12 students. And then get in touch with me and I'll pass that information along. Last Saturday, I attended the 22nd annual Turlock Policeman's Ball along with the mayor. And it was hosted by Turlock Police Association, Widows and Orphans Foundation. And that committee did an amazing job with that event. It was very fun and successful evening. So kudos to the police chief staff there. Last Sunday, I was at the Assyrian National Council's meeting in Modesto to discuss the Regional Service Water Supply Project. And tomorrow evening, I'll be in Modesto at the Stanislaus Homeless Alliance Collaborative to talk about funding for homeless services. And don't forget, tomorrow morning, don't steal the fire chief's thunder, but tomorrow is 9/11. Solemn day for us, and at 8 a.m. at Fire Station 1, which is on Minaret and Marshall, there will be a remembrance ceremony. So, and then you're going to reiterate that for me, Mayor, right at the end. And then just so you know, with the pending departure of our Admin Services Director, I've been reaching out to people in the public sector and private sector to provide some extra help, some contract services in finance and HR. So I'll be following up on that. And just the last thing, again, kudos to the police department. My son's a student at Turlock High School, so he was in lockdown today, and he's able to call me, and he was like his lunch, he ended up in like a ag workshop building. It was the nearest building, sheltered there, and kudos to the teachers too for keeping the kids calm away from the windows and following their training. So good job to the community. Thank you.
Council items for future consideration. Nothing. Okay, council member questions, comments, and announcements? Councilmember Arano.
Just a couple. I did make contact with Ms. Van Gilder today and with Michael on the storm drains. And I told Michael I was turning in my $100 of wasp spray. There's a bunch of wasps everywhere in the storm drains, and that like 4 kids got stung last time we were having soccer practice. So I don't know if it's just too high or if we need to mow more often. I don't know. We'll have to figure that out. But I appreciate you getting back to me. We're just gonna figure that out because soccer season started. Everybody's practicing. And we don't want to have any kids get stung. So I will be heading down to Fresno. They put in a new structure for a homeless facility down there, and it seems to be working out rather well. It's not a tent, but it does have heating and air conditioning, and it is mobile. So I'm going to be heading down with all the service providers next week to go check it out and see what it is and see if it's something that we could maybe potentially look into. So that's it. I'm going to try to make it tomorrow morning. I got to drop kids off before 8 o'clock. So I will be flying in hopefully by 8:10.
Traffic patrol.
I'm officially an uncle, so I want to get a recording here saying, "Hi, Isla." One day I'll go ahead and play this back to you when you're like older and you'll be like, "Why did you do this?" But hopefully you'll find it funny. Yeah, thank you.
I have one more. I'm sorry. We had a death in the Turlock High School community this Saturday with a 16-year-old, Caden Caro, and his funeral will be on Friday, but we just need to hold them up in prayer, and it's, the kids have taken it pretty hard, so pray for his family and for continued healing.
A couple things. I wanted to thank the Walking Miracles group of Turlock. They adopted Brad Bates Park as well as Kurt Andre Park on the other side of the soccer fields on Christopherson. I was able to go out with them on Saturday and help clean up the park. I just want to touch on how important and vital and fantastic this program is for our community. If you're a community group out there that has a group of helping hands willing to step up and start your weekend out in a great way, please contact our Parks Department to sign up, and the more the merrier as we go into the fall season to make sure our parks are beautiful for those kids playing soccer out there on the parks. I also want to touch on that Andrew, or Councilmember Nasrati, and I are going to be going to Sacramento over the next couple of weeks, over the next couple of weeks to talk about water, talk about sustainable methods for our water situation. We're going to be talking to legislators about it and bringing attention to the issues we're dealing with, as well as the potential to have some more funding towards some projects that we're working on now to ensure that it won't, to minimize the impact on our ratepayers. So we'll be happy to report back after those meetings. I also wanted to touch on that I didn't respond to Mr. Regalato's comment as well as his neighbor. I don't believe that we should selectively respond to public comment just because our name is mentioned. We signed up for this job. We embrace the criticism because of it, and I wish he stayed after to hear my response. But I do know Wayside. I rode my bike on it growing up. I work in Turlock. I drive there every day. I think I could look to my colleagues and get some nodding heads that I've mentioned Wayside a couple times maybe in the last meeting, so it's too bad that the minutes don't reflect that. And no matter the criticism or the assumptions of how often any of us go and ride on our horrible roads that we have, I'm committed to fighting for sustainable road funding for our residential roads. I've talked the talk, and I hope that we can all as a council walk that walk. And I'll continue to fight for you and your roads. Thank you.
Thank you all for coming.
That's it? Wow. So we will have the road workshop, and we'll put it out. We'll make sure that every one of us gets an email. We can post it on all of our social media, as well as hopefully we'll start communicating out of our city a little better. Obviously 9/11 tomorrow, and then I have CSU students who are wanting to help the fire marshal because he has nobody as for staff for neighborhood services. So of course he's cautious about volunteerism, but we're about to kick off volunteerism within the next week or so. We'll have a full-on thing where people will be able to sign up, whether it's for a specific department or to adopt a park, it's gonna blow out so that everybody has an opportunity and can be excited about being a part of this community. Everywhere I go, everybody's like, how can we help? We know there's a problem. How can we help? So if they can help offset doing some of the other things that we don't have personnel to do on a regular basis, then this is the way we'll do it. So I'm ready to tap into the resources so we can utilize our public. And once they're participating with us, that means they're going to support us. That's all I got. Closed session, we're going to go back to closed session to finish up.
Yeah, and just, so we'll be concluding the regular scheduled meeting and reopening the special meeting that began at 4 o'clock today.
All right.
forgot our phone.
That's your calendar. Psych. Nobody else wants to go home?
I guess not.
Or they did?
I don't have any siblings, so I inherit on my cousin.
Overly reliant. So just remember, we're reconvening the special meeting, not the regular meeting.
Oh.
So, no, I said it.
And then we have to close the other one too, then, right?
We do.
Okay.
So we're running 2 meetings right now?
Yeah.
Is that legal?
Are we good, Georgie? You legit?
Wait for George.
Man, I don't want almost, I want two legit. All right. We're reconvening the special meeting that started at 4 o'clock this morning. Mr. White?
Yeah, Mayor, direction was given to staff on all closed session items. There are 2 reportable actions for the public. As it relates to item 2A, by a 5-0 vote, the city council voted to deny the claim of Mr. Bajdev Singh. As it relates to item 2B, the council voted by unanimous vote to deny the claim of Peggy Gonzalez. Again, without, all other items, direction was given to staff, but there was no other reportable action.
Okay, we need to adjourn that special meeting.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, and now back to convening to the actual scheduled
Welcome back,
council
folks.
meeting. We have nothing else, so in favor of adjournment?
Move to adjourn.
Aye. Thank you.